Elephant Head Rock is a name that excites divers across the world, a maze of submerged arches and tunnels where granite towers rise from the Andaman Sea. But beneath its beauty waits chaos, ripping currents, jagged stone, and shadows where light cannot follow. In 2018, British diver Liam Barlow entered this underwater labyrinth and never came back. One wrong move in the darkness, and the sea turned predator. What unfolded beneath the waves remains one of the Similan Islands' darkest tragedies, a reminder that even paradise can kill. The Similan Islands sit off the west coast of Thailand, a cluster of granite outcrops surrounded by turquoise seas. To divers, they are legendary. Schools of barracuda sweep through the blue, manta rays glide above coral gardens, and beneath the surface, massive stone boulders create a maze unlike anywhere else in Asia. Among these sites, Elephant Head Rock stands as both a jewel and a test. Its name comes from the great arch that rises above water, resembling the head of an elephant. But it is what lies below that makes it famous and feared. Underwater, the rock forms a labyrinth of swim-throughs, caverns and tunnels carved by the sea. Visibility can be perfect, but the currents shift without warning, surging divers into walls of stone or dragging them into darkness. It is a place of awe, but also of danger. One mistake here can be unforgiving. In March 2018, Liam Barlow, a 26-year-old diver from the United Kingdom, joined a group charter exploring the Similan Islands. Elephant Head Rock was the highlight of the trip, a sight divers spoke of with equal excitement and caution. For Liam, it was a chance to test himself against one of Thailand's most famous underwater landmarks. The dive began under clear skies, the Andaman Sea calm at the surface. As the group descended, visibility opened into an underwater cathedral of massive granite blocks, stacked like fallen giants. Sunlight streamed through gaps, painting columns of light across the sand. Liam moved confidently, his bubbles rising steadily as he followed the dive leader into the labyrinth. At first, the dive unfolded as expected. Fish scattered at the beams of their torches, and the team passed through narrow arches carved by centuries of currents. But as they reached the deeper swim-throughs, conditions changed. A surge swept through the tunnel, stronger than expected, pushing the divers against the stone. For experienced guides, it was a challenge, but manageable. For Liam, caught slightly behind the group, it was overwhelming. He struggled to steady himself, fins scraping rock as the current pulled him off course. His bubbles scattered sideways, a clear sign of water in motion. In the twisting maze of Elephant Head Rock, even a small separation can turn catastrophic. The guideline was behind him, the team ahead, and Liam was alone in the middle. What began as a scenic exploration had shifted into something darker. The same currents that carved the tunnels were now threatening to trap him within them. Liam's breathing quickened as the current drove him deeper into the passage. Each kick of his fins stirred silt, clouding the narrow space until visibility shrank to a blur. He turned, searching for his group, but the shifting water erased their bubbles and their light. In an instant, he was alone. Panic is the silent predator of diving. His regulator hissed faster as his breath shortened. Every exhale robbed his tank of precious air. He tried to push forward, forcing himself against the current, but the tunnel pressed tighter, the rock unforgiving. Somewhere ahead, the rest of the team had managed to escape the surge, guiding themselves out into open water, but Liam never reappeared. Time stretched unbearably for those waiting outside the tunnel. A minute became 5, then 10. The ocean gave no sign of him. Searches were launched immediately, safety divers tracing the swim-throughs and drop-offs with their torches. They combed the labyrinth inch by inch, but Elephant Head Rock offered no mercy. Hours later, divers found Liam's body wedged against the stone, his air supply exhausted, his mask clouded. He had fought the current until the very last breath. The dive site that began as paradise had become a grave, and Elephant Head Rock had claimed another life. News of Liam Barlow's death spread quickly through Thailand's diving community and back to his family in the United Kingdom. For those who had shared the boat with him, the shock was immediate. One moment he was smiling, preparing for the dive of a lifetime, and the next he had vanished into the tunnels of Elephant Head Rock. Authorities temporarily restricted diving at the site as the investigation unfolded. The official cause was clear: entrapment in a surge channel, compounded by rapid air depletion. But to divers, the lesson cut deeper. Even a site celebrated for its beauty, accessible to tourists and advanced amateurs alike, could turn deadly with a sudden shift in current. For friends and family, Liam's loss was devastating. A young life ended far from home, in a place he loved. For the diving world, his story became a warning repeated in training briefings. The waters of Big Shoals Lake shimmered under the Florida sun, calm on the surface, but hiding peril below. In the shadow of the Suwannee River basin, divers slipped into a submerged cave that promised beauty and adventure. Hours later, only silence remained. The cave beneath the lake had taken its toll, a reminder that in the depths of water and rock, confidence can turn to tragedy in moments. Big Shoals Lake lies tucked within northern Florida's Suwannee River basin, a place where the river winds through forests, limestone bluffs, and hidden springs. To most visitors, it is a scenic stretch of water, a quiet retreat surrounded by nature. Yet beneath its surface lies a labyrinth that few understand fully, a submerged cave system that tempts divers with mystery, but offers little mercy to those unprepared. Florida is famous for its karst terrain, the product of water slowly dissolving the soft limestone bedrock over millennia. The result is a landscape riddled with sinkholes, underground rivers, and caves that branch endlessly beneath the ground. Many of these caves connect to springs that draw divers from around the world. Some are mapped and monitored. Others remain uncertain, unpredictable, and dangerous. Big Shoals Lake Cave belongs to the latter category. Its passages extend into the earth with narrow restrictions, unstable silt, and unpredictable currents that can reverse without warning when river levels change. Divers describe the water as both beautiful and deceptive, clear in the entrance, but quickly clouded by even the lightest touch of a fin. A single mistake can erase visibility in seconds. By the time of the incident, cave diving was already a recognized technical discipline in Florida. Training organizations stressed the unforgiving nature of overhead environments. Never lose the guideline, always monitor air carefully, and never dive beyond your experience. Yet Big Shoals remained alluring. Its entrance, hidden beneath the calm waters of the lake, promised access to unseen chambers and the thrill of discovery. Warnings were present, but nature's silence often lulls even the cautious. The stillness of the lake gave no hint of the danger beneath. To the divers who prepared that day, the cave was an opportunity. The divers who approached Big Shoals Lake that day were not strangers to the water. They had logged hours in open water dives, some with experience in Florida's springs, where sunlight filters down through clear openings. Beneath a ceiling of stone, There is no direct path to the surface, no easy escape if something goes wrong. It demands a different mindset, one of discipline and restraint. On the shoreline, the preparations looked ordinary enough. Equipment was laid out carefully. Tanks checked and rechecked, regulators purged. The divers moved with quiet efficiency, talking in low voices as they planned their route. Beneath the lake waited a system few had explored deeply, a place spoken of with a mix of curiosity and caution in local diving circles. Conditions at the surface gave little warning of what was to come. The water was calm, reflecting the tree line, and the air was mild. But the Suwannee River Basin is unpredictable. Underground currents shift with rainfall and river flow, altering water levels in caves without notice. A system that seems navigable one day can become hazardous the next. The divers knew the risks, at least in principle. Training materials and briefings stressed them. The quiet allure of a cave, the thrill of pushing a little farther, can silence hesitation. As the last gear was adjusted and masks were fitted, the men gave final nods. They descended beneath the surface of Big Shoals Lake, lights cutting into the darkness. Above them, the lake remained calm, but below, in the twisting passages of limestone, danger was already waiting. At first, the dive seemed routine. The men slipped beneath the surface of Big Shoals Lake, following the faint outline of the cave entrance beneath the limestone lip. Their lights cut narrow beams through the clear water, revealing walls of pale stone shaped by centuries of flowing currents. Air bubbles rattled against the ceiling. The guideline stretched from the entrance, a thin lifeline back to the safety of daylight. Each diver clipped in and followed steadily, one behind the other. For a time, the cave offered beauty, wide chambers where their light spread across rippling limestone, water so clear that distance became difficult to judge. It was the kind of view that drew divers into Florida's subterranean world. But beauty in such places is fragile. As the group pressed deeper, the passages narrowed. Tanks scraped against walls, and fins stirred fine layers of silt. Visibility dropped, at first to a haze, then to a thick cloud that swallowed their beams entirely. Within moments, the wide cavern had transformed into a brown fog where sight was meaningless. Only the thin touch of the guideline kept orientation intact. Stress rose with every kick. Breathing grew faster, regulators hissing sharply. In such conditions, panic often strikes not with shouts, but with a surge of racing thoughts. The sudden certainty that the cave is closing in, that air is running out, that escape is slipping away. One diver, disoriented by the silt out, lost contact with the main line. In total darkness, he fumbled against rock and water, searching for the thin nylon cord that meant survival. His hands found only rough limestone. The more he moved, the more silt he stirred, erasing any chance of regaining sight. Somewhere ahead, his companions pressed toward the exit, but in the blindness, they were separated as completely as if miles apart. The diver's air gauge ticked lower. Every inhale pulled hard against the regulator. Every exhale filled the cave with desperate noise. When his tank finally reached its limit, he succumbed to the inevitable. His body went still, drifting in the same silent water that had seemed so calm at the surface. For the others, survival meant retreat. Hands locked tightly on the guideline, they pulled themselves inch by inch through the murk, lungs straining, hearts pounding. At last, the glow of daylight shimmered faintly through the water ahead. One by one they surfaced, breaking into the open air of the lake with gasps of relief. But their relief was incomplete. One of their group had not followed. What had begun as an exploration had ended in tragedy. A single mistake magnified by the cave's merciless conditions. When the surviving divers broke the surface, their voices carried the shock of what had happened. One of their own was still inside, lost in the cave. The calm of the shoreline gave way to panic. Local authorities were alerted immediately. Word spread quickly through the Suwannee County Sheriff's Office, and soon rescue vehicles lined the lakeshore. Deputies, paramedics, and fire crews assembled with urgency, but it was clear that this was not an ordinary emergency. A diver lost in an underwater cave meant the situation had already shifted from rescue to recovery. Specialized cave divers were called in. They arrived with reels of line, redundant tanks, and powerful lights designed to cut through silt. Their task was grim: to navigate the same passages that had trapped the victim, locate his body, and bring him back for the families who now waited anxiously above. The divers entered in pairs, each movement deliberate. Visibility was nearly non-existent. The earlier struggle had left the cave clouded, and the fine silt hung suspended like smoke in water. They inched forward by touch, following the guideline with gloved fingers, pausing to secure additional line as they advanced. Every kick stirred more sediment, erasing what little they could see. Deep inside, signs of the struggle became apparent. Marks on the walls where fins had scraped, silt piled in unusual drifts, and finally, the motionless outline of a diver illuminated by a shaft of light. His gear was intact, but his tank was empty, regulator still in his mouth. Recovering a body from such an environment is among the most difficult tasks in diving. The narrow passages made movement slow, and the weight of the body added complexity. Inch by inch, they retraced their path toward the surface. Above ground, the weight was agonizing. Hours passed before the first rescuers emerged, their faces marked with exhaustion. When they finally surfaced with the diver's body, the silence broke into sobs. The lake that had seemed so peaceful that morning was now a place of grief. For the recovery team, the mission was both professional and personal. Cave divers often speak of a bond that comes from facing the underground world together, and losing one of their own struck deeply. They had succeeded in bringing him back, but the cost was heavy. The official reports would later note the cause of death simply drowning, but those who had been there understood the reality more clearly. It was not just water that claimed him. It was the unforgiving nature of the cave, the silt that blinded, the passage that narrowed, and the seconds that slipped away too quickly. The death at Big Shoals Lake Cave sent a ripple of grief through the local community and the wider diving world. For the family, the loss was immediate and devastating. A day that had begun with laughter on the shoreline ended with mourning. Friends who had watched the divers prepare struggled to reconcile how quickly the lake had turned from playground to grave. News outlets reported the incident as yet another reminder of Florida's hidden dangers. To the untrained eye, Big Shoals Lake was just a quiet body of water nestled in the Suwannee Basin. But to those who knew caves, the story underscored an old truth. Beneath the calm surface, risk lurked in every passage. Caving and diving organizations analyzed the tragedy in detail. In their reports, they emphasized the importance of training, preparation, and respect for the rules of cave diving. The incident became part of safety briefings. cited in discussions of how quickly a simple dive could collapse into disaster. Instructors pointed to the silt out, the lost guideline, and the air management errors as textbook examples of what every diver must avoid. At the same time, the story carried a human weight. Survivors spoke of their final moments inside the cave, the terror of total blindness, the helplessness of realizing a friend was gone. They admitted that equipment alone was not enough. Confidence had dissolved the instant visibility vanished. Locally, Big Shoals Lake gained a darker reputation. Some divers chose never to return, viewing the site as cursed. Others saw it as a place of lessons, a reminder that the underground world demands humility. Unlike incidents that end in miraculous survival, Big Shoals carried no such comfort. It stood as a stark reminder that beneath the beauty of Florida's waters lies an unforgiving world. The legacy of the diver who lost his life endures not only in memory, but also in the warnings his story provides. In the language of the cave diving community, he became another name written into the ledger of lessons, a life lost, but not forgotten. Big Shoals Lake lies quiet again, its surface reflecting sky and trees, giving no sign of what waits beneath. To the casual visitor, it is a place of beauty, but to those who know its story, the lake is marked by memory. One diver entered in search of discovery and never returned, his life claimed in the silence of an underwater labyrinth. What happened beneath the surface was not spectacle but struggle. Moments of panic, of blindness, of breath slipping away. It is a story that ends not in triumph but in warning. The cave beneath the lake remains unchanged, indifferent to human ambition. Its passages are as unforgiving now as they were on that day, ready to punish even the smallest mistake. Standing at the shore, one hears only the wind in the trees and the gentle ripple of water. Yet for those who remember, the silence carries weight. It speaks of limits, of how nature tests without mercy, and of how quickly confidence can collapse. Big Shoals Lake Cave keeps its secrets, but its lesson is clear. In the underground world, survival belongs not to the daring, but to the disciplined.